Okay, a little while ago we did a video of building this garden, the steps that we followed to do that. If you like the look of it, maybe you want to go check that video out. We'll have a link to that available up in the corner of the screen right now, and we'll also put a link in the description for you as well. So this garden's going really great. We're really pleased with it, so we wanted to bring you a bit of an update. It's only been a couple of months and everything's going great guns. This is Pascale's garden. She's been looking after it, planting it, so why don't I hand over to her and she can give us a guided tour.
So this is an update on the garden that we planted in April, 2.5 months ago. So pretty impressive what's happened in 2.5 months here. We built the garden in that first month of autumn and we're now in the second week of winter. And we've had a whole week of rain and now it's beautiful sunshine and the garden looks so happy and it's growing so well. I'm amazed by the size of these cabbages. One of them actually fell out in a storm last week and I had to replant with a fresh broccoli seedling. So we've already started harvesting things from this garden. Plenty and plenty of food, lots of mustard greens, bits of cabbage, silver beet, lettuces. We've harvested most of our lettuces and replanted actually. So it's been super productive. The herbs have been super productive. We're really, really pleased. Like, couldn't be more pleased with how it's turned out. Even my Brussels sprouts are starting to get little sprouts on them now and things are coming along really, really nicely. So why don't I just show you around and we can have a look at some of the plants that are growing, what we've removed, what we've replanted, and how I think everything's going in here. This is something new for us. We've planted kohlrabis in here. This was going to be, I'm going to pull this one out today and we're going to experiment with it in the kitchen. It's the first time I've ever grown and cooked with kohlrabi, so that'll be exciting. It is. One kohlrabi. We've got about 4 more planted behind me, but they're not quite as big as this one. And I knew I was going to harvest this one in the next couple of weeks, so I already planted a broccoli seedling behind it. So hopefully we'll have a nice broccoli growing there in a month or so's time, a couple of months' time. I had lettuce growing here as well, but it turned into a nice big head and we just harvested it, so I cut that off there at the base. And with these lettuces here, I've been peeling back as they fill out. I've been peeling the back, so we've been getting a lot of fresh salad greens from these ones. That's why they look a bit funny at the moment, because we've recently harvested them. Along here is a nice row of heirloom carrots, which is pretty exciting. They're looking very, very healthy. I hope that we're getting a nice root developing in there. Perhaps I'll pull one and we'll have a look. And I did do them in 2 separate plantings. So I planted some out first when we first set up the garden, and then about 4 weeks later when I harvested the little French radishes, I put another lot in. Oh yeah, so they're looking pretty good. Their roots aren't all mangled. They've got a nice tap root in there. So I'm happy with that. I think we're going to get some nice carrots out of this bed. And behind these carrots we've got my Brussels sprouts plants, so let's have a look at those. These are my 3 Brussels sprout plants and they're looking really good. So I suspect this is slug damage, but I haven't been coming down and removing them at night. The plant seems to be doing okay, so we'll just let it do its own thing and fight it naturally. We're starting to get sprouts, which is really exciting. This is a celeriac plant here. Really delicious. We're big fans, and you can't actually buy it in the store here. I haven't seen it anywhere. We were able to buy it in Tasmania, but I haven't seen it here, so we thought we'd grow our own. I've actually noticed they're very, very tiny seedlings when you plant, so you end up planting it in a cluster of a few little plants. So I've noticed here that there's 2 plants. We might just thin it out to 1. And I don't feel too bad cutting away this little baby plant because I can feed it to the goats. So we've got various cabbages along here and mustard greens and things like that. So this style of mustard green we've been picking from constantly and just been having in stir fries and things like that. And then we've got little smaller red cabbages and smaller sugarloaf green cabbages. This Mizuna is super delicious as a salad raw or cooked as mustard greens as well. We've got a tatsoi here. If you remember, I tried to grow tatsoi in spring. Did not work at all. Got completely raided by caterpillars and bugs, so we're really pleased with how the tatsoi is going. This is a strange cabbage. It's growing behind me as well, much bigger. And it's supposed to be a wombok, but I think I got my labelling wrong in it. I don't know what it is. It is a cabbage, but it's not really a wombok. It has an Asian flavour, so it's nice. Rocket, bit of a weed, going absolutely crazy down here. So the Mexican marigolds from last spring, they've self-seeded and started growing here in autumn, winter, which is really fantastic. Really good for pollinators, so on those warm days when there are bees about, they are in the marigolds and then they're roaming about in the garden, which is really lovely. I have planted some other flowers, some winter and spring flowers, but they haven't started flowering yet, so it's great that we have these. We've got a silver beet and spinach patch below me here. The silver beet we actually transplanted from the spring garden, put it in a pot and then replanted it into this winter bed, and it's doing really, really well. Here's our spinach. It's only just come of its own as the weather started to get colder. It really didn't grow very well in autumn at all. It was really struggling with the warmer, sunnier weather. So it's nice that we're going to have this if the frost comes and it starts getting really frosty, but this should be growing really well. Next to the spinach, we've actually got some bergamot and some winter sweet peas. So this looks like it might be flowering soon, which is very exciting. I'm looking forward to some more flowers in here. So we've done very little weeding to keep this garden so neat. But I have been finding some grasses popping up. I think there's some seeds in the straw, so I've just been pulling them out as I harvest things, really. I haven't actually dedicated any time to weeding this garden, so it's been really great. Next to the peas is warrigal greens. We left these in here and built the garden around them. They're just loving life and they're really amazing chicken fodder. The chickens absolutely love warrigal greens, so I come and harvest this probably once a week just to give them some green food, green pick. It is starting to green up now that it's winter time, but they do really love this, so that's great. Especially if we have to keep them locked in their coop for the day, we can give them a whole bunch of this and I feel okay about it. Next to it is wombok cabbage that is very much ready to harvest, and we've just run out of kimchi, so it's time to make some kimchi with some homegrown wombok cabbage. And behind me, behind Troy with the camera is some daikon radish. So we'll pull out some daikon as well so we can whip up a kimchi next week. Okay, let's harvest this cabbage. Oh, it's easy to harvest. I thought it was going to be difficult. I just think I'm just going to be able to just pull it out. Oh, it's heavy. Oh. Wow. Oh, look at that. A nice big earthworm. Look. That's amazing. That's the first big earthworm I found in the middle of the garden. I found them on the peripheries around the grass and stuff when I've been weeding, but not right in the middle. If you remember when we built this bed 3 months ago, all this was made with straw and not much soil at all, just about 3 or 4 inches of compost. And it's already broken down into like quite a nice composty. There's a mix, there's still a little bit of straw there, but it's breaking down really, really nicely. This is a cauliflower in here. Again, I tried to grow these in spring and they got eaten by bugs and it just didn't work out for us. But this is very exciting. This is the first cauliflower head I've noticed, and yeah, you can feel that it's forming in there. So that's cool. So this is a very different to the bed that we're in before. This is where we were growing tomatoes over summer, and it's been turned into our allium bed. So we've got garlic and onions and things like that. But Troy did put daikon in under the tomatoes, I think in about March, so 2 months ago. And we've been pulling a lot of daikon off here, but there's still a few more to pull, and I've got a big batch of kimchi to make, so I thought I might pull a couple now. And there's this particularly big one right here that I'm keen to pull. If I can. Wow, that's a pretty big daikon. Maybe we'll pull one more, but I think that's probably plenty for kimchi. What do you reckon, Troy?
We don't want surplus because it gets smelly in the fridge.
It really does get sneaky in the fridge, so you only really want to pick them when you're ready to use them, like we found. So I just snapped the top off the daikon, the smaller one, I'm gonna go feed it to the pigs and see if they like the top. You go, pig pigs. So something we can't eat, the pigs can eat, which is great. They really like that. It's pretty much gone in about 2 minutes. I hope you liked our winter update garden tour. There's actually a lot more gardening coming up. I'm currently editing an autumn harvest video, so some of the work that we've done in the other beds, that's coming up for you real soon. But let's get this produce up to the kitchen so I can make some kimchi this weekend.
One of the great things about moving to the country is that we've got some fantastic neighbours. So our neighbour Don, he gave us very kindly the copper insert out of an old-fashioned boiler. The outside of it, the outer casing was pretty much done for. So I just got this 44-gallon drum, and just the other day in the shed, I've cut out the inside for the copper to actually fit into, left a lip there, and it's quite sturdy actually, it's very strong. A place for the air to come in. We also cut 3 holes in the back, so to act as a bit of a chimney. And there's such a nice draft in here that you can see that when this thing's actually roaring away, not much smoke comes out. It's quite efficient. Talking of efficiency, because he gave me this copper boiler, the shape of it, the flames are able to wrap around it, and because it's very thin copper, it's very, very good heat transfer, and it's very, very quick. So a couple of small logs I've been able to pop in here, and it cooks for me 4 big buckets of potatoes. So as long as that fire's going, water, potatoes. I did fashion up a lid from this. There was the top off another 44 that I cut down. I kept it because I was wondering, oh, maybe I'll be able to use it. I can use it as a lid for when it's boiling. So that adds to the efficiency. So it doesn't really take much to boil up these potatoes. It certainly doesn't take much of my time, as long as it takes to load this up with water and potatoes and set a fire, and then I can walk off and pretty much come back the next day. And it's full of nice, well-cooked spuds. I've already taken some out to feed the other pigs. Well, there's a bit of a scrap that can go in the garden. Nothing's going to grow from that now that it's been boiled. The pigs have really been enjoying these, and they've got a really good food value. So there we go, our pigs are actually getting 3 separate waste streams now. So they're getting, and these are all from the packing houses. These are unsuitable to go to the shops because no consumer will buy them. So they're getting waste potatoes, which is a great food source. They're getting waste apples, which they really love. They're getting the spent grain from the brewery, which there's not that much, not many uses for. We do ferment that. I've mentioned that in the last video. We do ferment that. It raises up its food value and makes it easier to store. So that's another waste product that they're getting. And finally, we do give them a scoop of commercial ration, as well as a feed supplement that another friend of ours here in town who was growing pigs, he still had 2 bags of feed supplement, and he's been kind enough to give us that. That's to make sure the pigs have enough zinc and trace elements and stuff like that in their diet, make sure there's no deficiencies. And I have to say, they're really healthy, happy pigs. Well, it's got a bucket of apples there. We're going to take that down to the little pigs. It's time to move them, so you'll see what they're all about. The big pigs have finished their potatoes. Give them some apples as well, eh? So everything's pretty ready. The only thing I need to do now is isolate all the electricity. These little isolator boxes, there's only 2 in the whole lot. Normally I'll use gate handles as my isolators. They're a gate and an isolator, but I do have these. I've actually got another one just to my right here as well. So this one isolates everything from the actual fence charger. That turns everything off. I also have another one just over here that you can see, that when I isolate that, it isolates half the system. The benefit of that is I can put a fence tester just on here if it's, there's a fault, if it's running low voltage, and I can just turn off one. If nothing changes, that means the fault's on this side. If it goes back to normal, it means I can follow the fault on the top side. So it's just a really quick isolation. And then as I go, of course, I've got the isolators wherever there's a gate, so it makes it easy to find faults. But we'll turn that off and we'll go and move the pigs. Pigs don't like to test fence very much, and I've just found it easiest to turn off the electricity, and it just makes everything heaps easier if you know you're not going to get an electric shock. Like I said, the pigs, they're really wary of electric wire, so with this off, they won't try and escape, and it's only for the 10 minutes it takes to move them. So that's off, I can touch everything. So the wire's all in place. You'll see some of the supports I've put there slanted. That's just to get this bottom wire closer to the ground. Pigs don't like electricity touching their throats or their snouts, neither would you, but they will quite readily take it on their back. By getting this lower, these smaller pigs can be more easily contained. This sloping sort of configuration, it also makes it hard to get there because they're concentrating on this. They get shocked by the top wire, it's unpleasant. They don't challenge this wire. Before, when it was vertical, I did find that some of them were getting under. Hello. You're a good pig, aren't you? Watch out for that wire, don't shock us both. So the pigs have left behind a really beautiful seed bed. So all that remains now is the places where they did dig up some more of this very persistent onion weed. I'm just going to seed that with some more desirable species. Some of this onion weed will grow back, so some competition will set it back. So I'll just seed these. It's not a lot, so I can just do it by hand with a garden rake, and that's fine. A lot of the other parts that didn't have a lot of onion weed, just pasture, they shore off all the grass, they took all the chicory leaves that they could get, but they didn't dig it up. So that's really good. They're really helping renovate this block of land, and there is pig poo scattered everywhere. So this is tilled up where it needs to be, nice and fine. There's plenty of fertiliser laid on, and the persistent weeds are starting to get a real hammering. So it's good. We're getting there. After a year, we're starting to get a lot more clover and mixed weeds, a lot more fungus starting to show up. There's a lot more diversity in the paddocks here. So maybe sometime soon we might even be able to get a dairy cow or something a little bit larger. But for now, we're happy with the pigs.
Here I am preparing our wombok cabbage for kimchi. I washed all the leaves, then placed them in a big warm salty brine to soak for the afternoon so we could make kimchi that night. We followed the recipe from Korean chef Sally, whom we met in Cairns. The recipe is in my free provisioning guide that I wrote when we were sailing. If you'd like to access your free copy, there's a link in the description of this video.
Organic.
I've also popped a link on screen now if you'd like to watch a video of Sally teaching us how to make kimchi in Cairns. The kimchi is currently fermenting in the warmth of the kitchen, which is why I left so much headspace in the jars. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like it really helps us out. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel as it really helps get our videos out to like-minded audiences. See you next time.